Hey everybody, welcome to Quilt-Cam. It's November 12th. How did that happen? It was October when I last left home and I was gone for almost 3 weeks, and here we are at almost the middle of November. Thanksgiving is right around the corner, and after that, Christmas and all of that craziness of the holidays. So how are you handling all of this stress? As for me, I'm kind of in denial. We got away with it lucky this year. Both of my sons, my oldest son turned 31 this week, 2 days ago on Monday. 31. I'm not sure how that happened either. But he and his brother are celebrating Jason's birthday on a cruise of their own to the Bahamas from Florida. So they left this afternoon. It's their first time on a ship, and they're really excited. And they were sending pictures by text until the ship had left port and there was no more phone reception. And so they're off on their own adventure, two brothers together. And this means a lot to me as a parent, that my kids actually like each other and choose to do things with each other and get along without us having to push and prod and beg them to care about each other. And as far as I'm concerned, what happens on the ship stays on the ship. I don't want to know. It's just a cruise, and I'm sure they'll have a good time. It's a good taste of cruising for them, so that they can see if they actually want to do a big cruise with me later. I did just return on Sunday from a 7-night cruise to the Western Caribbean with a group of 96 quilters and 5 other instructors besides myself, plus help staff with the machines and things like that. And we had an absolute blast. We sailed out of Galveston on the Royal Caribbean Majesties of the Seas ship. Beautiful ship, just beautiful. And their conference center in the bottom of the ship, they had 4 really large classrooms down on the 2nd level of the ship. And we divided everybody up into groups of 24, 25, and everybody got 2 full days of half-day classes. So they had 4 classes in 2 days. And then we had 3 days in port. We spent 1 day last Wednesday, so we could go today, in Roatan, Honduras. And then the next day we were on to Belize City, and I'd never been to Honduras or Belize before, so that was quite the experience. And then from there we went to Cozumel, which I had a little bit of experience of because I've been there once before, but it was years and years ago. So it was just so much fun, and all in all, just a great trip. So if you ever have a chance to go on a quilting cruise, do not hesitate. It is just more fun than you can imagine. And what's better than hanging out with quilters, you know? Even if they did put us down on the 2nd floor, we made this promise to ourselves that we would take the elevator as little as possible, because they say that you put on 1.5 pounds a day on a cruise. Well, if we skip the elevator and we take the stairs, that means I'm going from cabin on 6th level down to classroom on 2nd level, up to level 13 or 12 to walk the deck, where the activity areas are, or 11 for the restaurants and buffet. So one day I got 200 flights of stairs in. Wasn't almost not able to walk. So anyways, that was my cruising experience, and I'm writing more about it on the blog and getting photos uploaded and sharing all of our experiences there with you. What am I working on tonight? 9-patch strip sets. I bet you thought I was going to say more string spider web. Well, the string spider webs are still sitting over here from last time, but you know what? I have a nephew on his way, and he will be making his debut. He's going to be born in January, hopefully close to my birthday. But I need to have this baby quilt done before New Year's, because once New Year's hits, my life schedule goes crazy and I'm back out on the road again. So it's time for me to start thinking about this. These are 2-inch strips, and I'm just going to make some simple 9 patches with the 2-inch strips, and then I will decide how I'm going to lay them out. I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I figured it was better just to get on the road and start with it, and then just decide what I'm going to do with them later. I had 2 nephews a year ago that I made baby quilts for, the dancing 9-patch. We have that free pattern under the free patterns tab at the top of the blog. You can see a 9-patch quilt over my left shoulder. That's my hubby's Boise State denim quilt. The top was made by my mom using my pattern from Scraps and Shirt Tails. She inserted lots of orange in with the blue because, you know, Boise State Broncos fans bleed blue and orange. And that's on the list to be quilted. So that's coming up. These simple 9 patches, we may set them a different way, but you know what? It's a good component in any scrap quilt. So what I'm doing is just, yeah, this is how we roll. I ran some test seams first. I needed to make sure that this test strip set of 3 was 5 inches across, not any less and not any more. They will finish at 4.5 inches when they're made at from 2-inch strips. Here's another strip set. So basically, I'm just sewing 2 by 2. And then I will come back and add a 3rd strip on. And what's really, really weird, even though this one is pressed, I did press this one so that I could measure it. These ones I'm not going to press until the 3rd strip is on. You know how most 9 patches you will press out to the corners and in towards the center and out to the corners? With these scrappy ones, I don't do it that way. I press them all one direction, and then I just turn strip sets over. So the seams on the top strip set of the 9 patch go this way, the middle goes this way, and the bottom one goes this way. And that way I can use those strip sets in many different combinations to get a really scrappy look. Otherwise, I could only use the ones that were pushed out on the top and the bottom, and I could only use the ones that were pushed in as the center. This gives me more freedom. Plus, I don't have to get up to the iron as often. So even though it'll feel weird, when I am done sewing these twosies together, I'm not going to press them until I've added the 3rd one on. Let's do some sewing. If you've not been to Quilt-Cam before, if this is your first time, and you're watching on the blog where this feed is embedded, ooh, I like this one, kind of turquoise and navy, nice. You can leave a comment on the post itself or in the guest book. If you're watching on YouTube, you can leave a comment there and that will show up in my email. What I can't do is reply if you are watching via Facebook or something like that, because I can't reach a keyboard from here. I'm quite a ways away from the computer, and I use my phone. Somehow this doesn't look right. I think this strip is not 2 inches. We're going to set that one aside. I use my phone to answer your emails, and I can already hear comments coming in. I turn my phone down to buzz. I remembered to do that. Now here's something to do. If you have a strip that's maybe just a tiny bit off, maybe one of them is more narrower than the other, find out which one is the correct size first. But align your outside edge and then let the short one fall a little bit short within the seam allowance, and that'll fix it. We like little tricks like that. I need somewhere between 25 and 39 patches. And I've got all different kinds of fabric here. These were all shirts. What's really neat, this green one belonged to my grandpa. And it will be the baby's great grandpa. And he will have some of his great grandpa's shirts in his baby quilt, and I think that's neat. I'd love to do that for the boys. I've also got a baby girl quilt that I'd like to get done sometime in December. But for right now, I just need some production time. When one strip runs out, then we find another color and we just butt it right on top. Because I will cut between where the joins are. These vintage machines were made for fast, simple sewing. Yeah, we know. We gotta love the orange ones. What's this here? That'll work. I didn't think I had enough variety, so I did spend some time today running some yokes and some sleeves from cutting shirts down through the AccuQuilt Studio and using my 2-inch die to cut some more strips. Always fun to add more to the mix. Now, as long as I have more than 2.5 inches on the end of this strip, I ran out of the one before it, I can just add another one on. And I do have a little iron here next to me if something is really wrinkly like this one is, just so that I can give it a good straighten out job before sewing it on. Remember, even the ugly ones work if you just contrast them with something else. And then I just need something to go with this one, maybe this blue. So I'm not paying attention to lights and darks. You know how we like to do darks in the corners or lights in the corners. This is just color on color and anything goes. I just want these 9 patches as scrappy as possible. All right. Let's see. Oh, I'm going to tip my ironing table over with my chair. Okay. So this is my trusty phone. I use a Samsung Galaxy S5. And I am going to check the mail here. This one is from Sue in upstate New York, who says, welcome home from what sounds like an amazing cruise. Tonight I'm working on borders for an Ohio star quilt. It's king size. I'm also going to be cutting strips for 9 patches for sewing on my treadle. I'm new at treadling, and 9 patches seem like a great starting point. 9 patches are always awesome. So are 4 patches. And string piecing. If you've not ever done any string piecing, learning to treadle with string piecing is like the best thing ever. The hardest thing with treadling, if you're sewing fairly small 9 patches, is that you want to stop and start at each seam to make sure that you're getting those seams nested right. And the starting and the stopping are the hardest part about treadling. Once you get it going, it's pretty easy to keep it going, but it's that getting it to stop where you want and to a smooth start so that that hand wheel is always coming towards you, not away from you. That takes a little bit. It'll feel like you're patting your head and rubbing your tummy, but just keep working with it. If you're frustrated with the 9 patches, sew some piano key borders or something where the seams are longer and you don't have any seams to match up on those. And that's a great way to learn. And that's from Sue in upstate New York. This one's from Michelle. Hi, Michelle, I miss you. She says, I'm working on the last border of my Narragansett blues. How wonderful. That's awesome. And this one is from Jean, who says, great to see you again on Quilt-Cam. Nice to have you with us. She says, never mind, now in focus. So if you're sending me an email that things are blurry, it's going to be on your end. It's not going to be on my end. It could be somewhere in between with your reception. I'm in a basement and my property is down in a hollow surrounded by trees. So sending me an email that, hey, it's blurry, fix it, there's nothing I can do. It is what it is, and we're just grateful that YouTube allows us this Google Hangout thing where we can archive it. And if it's too blurry and giving you a headache, then go sew something and just listen. I'm glad you're with us here. Jen says, welcome home from the cruise. I've loved seeing your posts about the cruise. I'm leaving Sunday from Houston on the same itinerary, but on Princess. Hubby and I are excited to dive all 3 ports and spend boat time with my sister and hubby. Any tips? I didn't do any diving. I did some snorkeling. We snorkeled out of Cozumel. The waters were just crystal clear and gorgeous. Our day before in Honduras, we got rained. So, I mean, on Belize. And so that would have not been a good snorkel day. It may have been an okay dive day if you go down far enough. But we ended up doing things like we did a nature preserve where you hike and you look at all the different animals, iguanas everywhere, and the flora, the fauna, birds, monkeys, things like that. And then on the day that it rained, we were in an open boat going up the River Wallace to where we could go see the Mayan ruins, and that's what we did. And then we did in Cozumel, we did the jungle buggy ride out in the jungle with a Razor 4x4, and that was a hoot. And then the snorkel. So I mean, any which way you go, you're going to fill it up with as much fun as you can. I'm not a shopper, so I bought 2 metal geckos that are going to go on the wall of the cabin, and I bought those in Honduras on the first day, and that was it. Other than a hat to keep the rain off my head, I'm not a shopper, so the International House of Diamonds or whatever does not interest me, and none of the touristy stuff interests me. My best souvenirs, living it, the experience, and bringing home photos. She says she's working on Civil War little monkey blocks still. I think I'll stop at 250. That should be enough. Sounds like a girl after my own heart. Small blocks, little pieces, and 50 million of them. She says, so happy you're back. We've all missed you. Well, thank you so much. I missed everybody too. It's hard to believe it's been 3 weeks since we did the last Quilt-Cam, but you know, you just can't do it on the road. And it was really weird being without internet connectivity for a week. We left port on Sunday. We got back in port on Sunday. And in between that time, nothing. I wrote all the blog posts ahead of time for last week. How did you like that with the sewing room studio / work in progress posts that went on last week? I thought they were really, really good. And I think it's something that I'll do again. Everybody seemed to love it. And so when I can't be connected and able to post, I think that's something we don't want to do it all the time, because I think we wear it out, but we'll definitely save that for a meet the quilter while Bonnie's away and has no connectivity kind of thing. Let's see. This one is Seeking Balance, says, first timer from Tioga, Pennsylvania. Nice to meet you. So glad that you're here too. Welcome. Hope you've got something quilty going on. Miss Jamie Quilt says, welcome home. So excited about Quilt-Cam tonight. I will be pressing. I have my Celtic Solstice into 5 panels. So she's got her 5 panels ready to assemble, all of which have to be pressed before they are sewn together. And I hate pressing. Thanks for the company. You know, the company does help us get through stuff that we don't want to do. Okay. Here is Marcia, who says, Quilt-Cam, great to have Quilt-Cam tonight. I'm gathering machine projects and tools and then checking my list again and again for a 3-day retreat this weekend. Traveling to site on Thursday afternoon, so we are ready to sew on Friday morning. And that's Marcia near Toledo. And I understand that Ohio was very, very chilly today, and there's more cold stuff moving in. So I hope that you really, really enjoy your retreat. And we're going to be heading up to the cabin tomorrow night after we make a detour. I want this purple one, I think. This purple one. Yeah. And we're going to make a detour and head down to Charlotte, which is like 80 miles in the wrong direction from the cabin. But it's the closest IKEA that we've got in Charlotte, and there's some things that I need. I have been pining after these kitchen islands that you can use as cutting tables for a few years now. And when the hubby said, oh, honey, you don't have enough business deductions. Aha. Yes, we do. We're going to IKEA, because I'm going to buy a cutting table for here in the studio and a cutting table for up at the cabin that has storage underneath. Yes, I've been in the purge and reorganize frenzy. So that's what we're going to do. Hubby thought we should buy new computers, and I don't care. The computers we have work. I want cutting tables, so that's what it's going to be. So we'll load up the van and then head up to the cabin tomorrow night and stay the weekend. And I'm really looking forward to it. Let's see, we've got kind of a gray blue with these little thingy bobbers on it. How about some red? So if I needed 25 of these, that means I need to be able to get 75 subcuts across. So I'm got quite a ways to go yet. If I can get these sewn tonight, maybe I can get them pressed and cut tomorrow. that one runs out, we just add another one on. What looks good with this red? This blue. You know, when we came back from the cruise, I think the biggest thing of all, because we left the TV off, we didn't have any communication, no radio, no whatever, was, you know, you get off the boat and you're bombarded with Christmas stuff, including Christmas carols. You walk into any store, it's all out there now. There's no avoiding it. If you can't beat them, I guess we may as well join them. Some of these, you can tell they're cut from sleeves because the ends are not straight. Just can't go wrong with simple 9 patches, can you? Think I can get 75 subcuts out of this yet? If I end up with too much, I'll just use them as border or something. You know you've been piecing small when 2-inch strips feel absolutely ginormous. Okay. 75, or do I need to go more? You think I can get 75 subcuts out of this? I think probably. Excuse me. Let's check in here. Helen Marie says, I really enjoyed watching those videos of the couple on the same cruise. I know, wasn't that fun? That was a complete fluke. I was looking for videos of just like documentary of the places where we're going to be, and lo and behold, on YouTube were videos from this family, the Williamses, who earlier in the year, I think it was February or March, had done the exact same itinerary on the same ship, and they had filmed all over the ship. They filmed all of the activities that they were doing, so they became our virtual cruise family for the week. It was really fun. I felt like I could really get to know them. So you'll have to check those out. Those are on last week's post. Just check the blog archives and you'll find them. She says, I also enjoyed all the studio pictures. I don't know how they can stay so organized. My room is a total mess, even though I keep trying to get organized. I talked to my daughter today, and she has agreed to come over and help me press and cut my scrap stash into working parts. Hopefully that will help. The local guild had a judge show last weekend. I entered Cookville Pride, your Orca Bay, which won 3rd place. Oh, awesome! And Easy Street, which won honorable mention. The judge's only comment, unique pattern. I was like, oh, interesting. Thank you, thank you. Congratulations, Helen Marie. That's wonderful. She says, thank you so much for all the patterns and fun you share with us. I think we're all a little bit overwhelmed with all of the sewing stuff that we have. And for me, it's little bits like this that I just can't seem to toss away. This one even has a little bit of batting stuck to the back because it was trimmed from a backing. And yeah, I will sit here and get that batting off of there so that to keep this strip usable rather than just pitch it. And I'm not sure why, that I'm frugal to a fault with my fabric. This is why it was so hard for me to purge my closet and get rid of stuff that didn't fit anymore, because it was still good and it might fit someday. Yeah, right. Reality check here. You know, so we get attached to our stuff and we think if it's usable, we need to hang on to it. But it might be usable to somebody else instead of, oh, excuse me, just hanging on to it. If you're feeling stifled, then something has to give. And one of the ladies that emailed me this week said that she was moving and she had to purge, and she was downsizing, and she had all of this fabric, and she always wanted to spend her later years, you know, making a gazillion charity quilts and sewing up all of her fabric, and that was going to fill her heart and fill her soul. And she realized that she couldn't do it, not in her lifetime, and she couldn't move all that fabric. So the way she was able to realize that dream was to donate that fabric to a group that does exactly what she wanted it to do with it herself. They make charity quilts from donated fabric. It goes to people in need. In fact, if you donate the fabric to groups like that, it's going to go to people who need it faster than if you think you're going to sew it all up yourself, one quilt at a time. Do you get my point? So really, the stuff you are no longer in love with, the stuff that is stifling you, the stuff that you just really can't even think you could cut small enough to make it look decent, donate it. Donate it to a church group or a public organization or something that makes quilts for the homeless or the battered women's shelter or children in need or cancer patients or whatever it is. If you really want to help cover people and you're a quilter because you love being involved in charity efforts, give the fabric so that other people can spend the time sewing and doing what you can't. And then you can set up in your new studio, in your new location, meet some new friends, and continue on where you left off, knowing that fabric is in good hands. So anyways, that's my soapbox. And I'm sure I'm going to get to that point too, where, you know, I've got yards and yards and yards of fabric. Why do I save the boxes of crumbs? Because I can't let them go. I just can't let them go. I have big dreams. I want to sew it all up. Okay, so this one is from Sandy, who says, yay for Quilt-Cam. It's Sandy from Utah, and I really would like to know what kind of tables showed in a pic at your friend Irene's. One had a sewing machine and one had an iron on it. They weren't too big. Oh, if I can remember, I was sewing at a 301, a Singer 301 that was in a cabinet, much like this one. It was just an old 1950s cabinet. So it wasn't a table you can get today, but vintage cabinets are available. As far as the little table I was ironing on, that was her hall table. It was just a little narrow pine table that she kept up by the stairwell, and I grabbed it because I needed an ironing surface and I didn't have one. So it's not anything you can run out and buy, but if you find one in an antique mall or a crafter's mall or something like that, you may be able to give it a repaint job. It was just a pine table that was kind of narrow, and I put my little ironing pad on top. That was all. Not a big deal. This one's from, it says Seeking Balance is back. She says, actually crocheting tonight, but worked on a t-shirt quilt today. I'm using 2.5-inch squares in between the t-shirt pieces. I think it will be very cute when done. And this is from Nikki, who says she's going to start her purge tomorrow. Says have a meatball and some lingonberry preserves for me when you go to IKEA. We will do that. There's a bunch of other stuff that I need, and of course, maybe a couple more IKEA lights. Susan Erler says, yay for Quilt-Cam. Welcome back. Looks like you had a great cruise, and I love the pic of you and hubby with the smiles that you posted. I also enjoyed the sewing room makeover post very much. Tonight, I'm working on my Smith Mountain morning, done in brown and blue batiks. Thanks again for Quilt-Cam tonight. You rock. And she's got her picture of her alternate blocks here. Those are the chimney and cornerstones blocks. Love that quilt. It's one of my favorites ever. I was in a restaurant in Pennsylvania, and gosh, I can't remember the name of the place, but it's one of those huge Amish buffets, and it's not too far from Obie's. So if you're in Pennsylvania, you probably know what it has the name of a tree. Anyway, there was an Amish quilt that was hanging on the wall that was very, very similar, and the coloring was completely different. The rounds went all the way around, so it had red and blue all the way around, red and blue and red and blue, and I thought, shoot, I really like that, and so I used that as my inspiration, but changed the color placement, and it worked really, really well. So quilt ideas come from absolutely everywhere. So that's Susan. This one says, I am C. Taylor. Charlotte Taylor says, working on yo-yos, saw a beautiful antique yo-yo quilt all done in cream muslin. I only need 1,100 yo-yos. That's not that many. I have 250 done, so I need to work on them every chance I get. Welcome home. So we know what Charlotte will be doing through the winter time. She's going to be in yo-yo land. Nancy says, plaid quilt. And she sent a picture here. Wonderful. So she's just got squares surrounded. Starts with a center square and surrounded and surrounded and surrounded, what, 4 times? 1, 2, 3 around the center square. Great way to use strips and very, very effective. Fun use of color, nice lights and darks going on there. That is wonderful. Thanks for sharing, Nancy. Beautiful. I just love the plaids. Okay. This one is a text with a photo, but no words. Ooh, it's scrap crystals and red and black and white. So we've got this going on over there. Love those black and white prints. They call them low volume. To me, they're just neutral. It just depends on whether you're trendy or not. Love those. And the reds are yummy. Thank you for sharing that photo. That's delicious. And Brenda, my girlfriend Brenda, says, can't figure out how to message you while you are camming, but I wanted to say hi. I am watching you and I love your shirt. She loves my shirt. You see it? Holy scrap. This was given to me by the Alaska girls on the cruise, and I could hardly wait to get home where it was cool enough to be able to wear long sleeves because it was really hot on the cruise. And Brenda, you emailed me. That's what you needed to do. Email me. So it shows up on my phone. How are you, girlfriend? I can't wait to see photos of the redo of your studio. She said she's having new flooring put in, probably walls being knocked out, and who knows what else she's doing. But it's, you know, we get that nesting thing and we just can't stand it until we can reclaim our space, rearrange our space, make it better, make it more easy to accomplish what we want to accomplish in there. And we are always changing and evolving. This one, holy cow, you guys are just getting me busy, busy, busy here. This is from Lavella, who says, missed you. Glad you were having a great time with hubby. I enjoyed the quilters' rooms last week. Nice to see all the Bonnie boxes of strips. Did you notice that? That's awesome. That means that people are making good use of their scraps, and we love that. Thanks for Quilt-Cam and the great hints at the beginning on how to sew scrappy 9 patches. Love ya, and that's Lavella in California. And Loretta Flood in West Virginia. Hi, Loretta. How are you, honey? She says, watching you while quilting my Easy Street quilt, only 2 years late. And she's got a picture, too. See, if I turn it sideways, you can see what she's doing. Come on, baby. Ooh, that looks awesome. So looks like she's got us on her Kindle or her Nook down there. If I get a little bit closer, can you tell the colors of her quilt there? It's under the arm of her machine. Beautiful job. Just love that. Well, you think I'm ready? I think I'm ready. Maybe I'll sew one more short piece on there so I can remove this. Here's a short red. That will work. That's the hard part about chain piecing, is that there's always one more piece to sew on. I'll sew there, and then I'm going to snip back here. So this is what my plan is. I've got all these short guys, and some are short and some are long, but I'm going to cut them apart just for ease of use. Wherever there is a join, I'm just going to cut them. And then I can decide which side of which of the strip set I want to add the next color. Remember, I'm not going to press these yet. I'm going to wait until after the 3rd strip is added. But even when I am ironing, doing 9 patches the regular way, I cut at all of the joins first before pressing, instead of leaving them all connected together and having to iron first and then coming through and cutting. This is just a lot easier because this thing gets all twisted. So we're just going to quickly come through here, and wherever there is a join, and this also helps scramble things a little bit, and we get better variety. If I have strips that are really, really long, I'll either cut them in half so I can match each half with something else, or I will sew many different short pieces onto it. So when I cut at those joins, I've got lots of different variety going on. I've even got some that, you know, if I'm subcutting these at 2 inches, I'll only get one piece out of here. But this may be enough to fill the end of a strip set or something. So yeah, even the short ones, as long as I can get a 2-inch subcut out of there, it works. But I just love making little masculine baby quilts for little boys. And including Great Grandpa's shirt in there. I think that's a classic thing to do. Since both of his cousins got little grandpa fabric in their quilts, I think it's a neat thing to do. Keep it in the family. So this is the second child from my brother Michael. And he and his wife Nicole live in Eagle, Idaho. And I went to see them last Memorial Day. And at that time, she was not expecting or did not let us know. I haven't figured out on my fingers yet. There's a 3. Okay, so we're ready. Now this is one of those where it's fairly long and I've got 2 of the same thing. So what I'm going to do is cut this in half so that I can match each of those with something else. And it doesn't matter which side I add my next strip on. I will pick a strip and whichever side it looks best on is the side that I will sew it on. And it'll feel a little bit weird because I'm not pressing this first. But remember, I want to press all the seams in one direction the way I did on the back of this one. Can you see? I don't know if you can tell. But the seams go from the yellow up towards the center and then from the center up towards the green. So the seams all go one direction. And that way, when I do my subcuts, I can just turn the strip sets over and they can go any which way in any placement of those 3. Okay. We need to scramble this bin up and see what we have not added here yet. How about this navy on this side? If I straighten out the bottom of that strip, I can add one more piece on. But short strip sets really are our friends in scrap quilting. Short strip sets help us to get that variety that we want so it doesn't look like we're sewing the same thing to the same thing all day long. I want, nope, that doesn't work. Too ugly. Maybe a lighter blue. It was kind of a mossy green going up against a khaki. It was just not a good combo. Not enough contrast. Okay. But now I need something that doesn't have blue. Maybe this one. Sew it on the other side of the orange. Yeah, and it does feel a little bit weird not to press, but trust yourself. That one, let's see, this one will be this way. So as I add more pieces to these pieces, it's actually going to make these pieces even smaller because I'll be cutting through those joins. So I will end up with more different things. So that khaki I vetoed is working really well right now. On something else. When I'm working with stuff like this, I try to find difference in scale. So maybe you can see I've got this little blue plaid here. It has smaller squares in it than this big one does out here. Same with this strip set here. There's 3 completely different textures of plaid there, 3 completely different scales. And I think that helps. Throwing in some stripes, always good. So here's a stripe next to a gingham next to a check. Just keep things as much variety as possible, because we don't want to have it look like our plaids are should align when they're not ever supposed to. Okay, so here's a red and a gray, and we'll find something that works with it. Maybe there's a navy and green. I think I like that. I make my choices fairly quick, but I do want to put things together that look good. So I don't do that brown paper bag thing where you have to just pull something out, and if you pull it out, you sew it. I don't get good results with that, so I give myself the right to veto something and pick something else. When we reach the end of that strip, we find something else to stick under it. Well, those are too similar. Need something that will contrast with. I think this one. Yeah, that'll look good. Okay. So I'm not playing light, dark, light here. It's just color to color to color. Some strips are short, some are long. That's a good one, but needs an iron press. I really hope that plaid quilts never go out, because I've got so much plaid. It's ridiculous. What I will do when I get these all pressed the way that they're supposed to go is I will match strip sets, right sides together, so that the seams are nested. I will lay them sideways across my AccuQuilt die and cut them into already matched pairs. So I will sew those pairs, and then I only need the third piece to go on, and it can go on either side of those 2Z units. I have an idea on stashing these, but of course I need some 9 patches to play with first. I do love this machine. She is just one sweet baby. She weighs a ton, but she's such a good sewer. All right, I think we need more yellow. I'm getting that pile down there. Let's check in and see how everybody's doing. Send me a picture of what you're working on. I love to see that. Christy says, or Chrissy, sorry. Well, hello. I am in Port Lincoln, South Australia, and it is live, and it is my birthday. Happy birthday, Chrissy. So glad you could join us this morning. How are things where you are? Are you deep in the heat of summer? She says it's the 13th of November down there, and what a great present. Also, hello to Tanya Page from Whyalla, which is only 2.5 hours from me. So wonderful. This is from Nancy, who says, welcome back, watching Quilt-Cam and cutting up scraps. So excited to begin Grand Illusion Mystery. Have always wanted to visit the Grand Hotel on Mackinac Island someday. Have joined in on the fun with the Open Studio group on Facebook. Love it. Many are posting their piles of fabric choices to go with the paint colors. I noticed in the intro you advised choosing one constant yellow, but is totally scrappy for every color. Okay. By the way, I managed to locate and order your exact choice of yellow. It shipped today. Can't wait for Grand Illusion Friday, and that's Nancy in Southern California. The one constant color is what I did. It's not vital. You can do absolutely scrappy everything, but since everything else was scrappy, including my backgrounds, I wanted one place that would kind of unify everything that was going on in the quilt. So if you wanted to do many yellows, that's fine. I just chose not to. It's an option. Any quilt pattern is just a recipe, and we can all twist and change those recipes to suit our needs and our tastes. Meaning, if I were making brownies, I would probably end up throwing in chocolate chips and walnuts, and probably more vanilla. If you were making brownies, you might say, oh, I don't want walnuts. I'm going to put pecans and German chocolate frosting on top. So it's still brownies, but you've taken the recipe and you've changed it your own way. And that's what quilting is about. It's not making everything exactly the way the original was made. Go ahead and make it your own. Change the colors, decide to go scrappy here or not scrappy there, or do the entire thing from planned yardage. It's perfectly okay, and it will be beautiful. I can't wait to get started. I'm really excited. So you see that quilt that's over my left shoulder? Guess what it is hiding underneath? The mystery quilt is about, just beyond halfway done being quilted, and then I'll have the binding and the hanging sleeves still yet to do. But my goal is to have it quilted before Thanksgiving so that I can do the hand sewing of the binding when I'm with family over the holidays. And then we will have our first Friday post ready to go, and family can help me photograph the thing if we hang it off the front porch at the cabin. So it's getting down there. It's getting close to time. This one is from Tina, who says, hi from Richmond, Indiana, sewing on my hexie tonight while watching you on Quilt-Cam, and doesn't that look fresh? They look like just little daisies. And she's got a scrappy green path going around those sweet little daisies. Either that or they're fried eggs. I'm not sure. No, that's beautiful, and that's a lot of work, and I just love those vibrant greens. Lovely. Those look like very, very tiny ones, too. Goodness sakes, because there's only 3 stitches holding that paper on to the fabric. Okay. Chrissy also says, well, hello. Oh, she said, oh, wait a minute. She repeated that 3 times, 3 times, 3 times. Is this one too? It all came in, Chrissy. We've got you loud and clear. Her computer must be hiccuping. She's so excited. Mary Hawk says, working on a wool applique. And I'm going to biggie size this here. Isn't this beautiful? I know wool applique is all the rage, and I spent quite a bit of time with Kim Deal on this cruise, and watching her work with that wool, you know, it's a slippery slope. I'd have to start a whole new stash, and I'm not sure that I can contain myself if given the permission to go buy more fabric. But it's awful nice, and it's so pettable. I love how that wool on cotton feels. That is just beautiful. That's Mary's. Becky says, hi, Bonnie. I'm trying to complete my Celtic solstice before Grand Illusion starts. I'm finishing up the quilting tonight and hopefully get the binding sewn on ready for the handwork. I quilt on my domestic machine and I'm just doing a meander pattern so it would go quickly. Enjoyed the posts while you were away, but glad you're back and having Quilt-Cam. Thanks for all you do. You know, it's not easy to quilt a quilt on a domestic machine. And I met a gal on this cruise who has some great ideas and great things to do. Have you ever quilted with a walking foot, like grid quilting, straight line quilting with a walking foot? That's how I first learned to machine quilt. I can go back in the 90s, but before my youngest son Jeff was born in 1990, so this was about 88, 89. I was experimenting with Harriet Hargrave's. Her machine quilting book had just come out, the Heirloom Machine Quilting, and I did quite a lot of straight quilting with a walking foot, but the free motion stuff scared me. I didn't have a great machine. I wasn't able to drop feed dogs on that one, so I was limited to just doing straight line quilting with a walking foot. But you know what? It got done. It got done, and those quilts have held up. But I met a gal on the cruise who was also teaching, and her name is Catherine, and she has a DVD coming out on straight line quilting with your domestic machine. And she also teaches, I don't know if it's on the same DVD or not. She's going to let me help her promo when she gets it ready. But you can start in the center of your quilt. Of course, you have to baste really, really, really well. That's always a given. But start with your walking foot and turn a spiral. And this, you get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and you just use the edge of the walking foot to spiral out and out and out and out and out, and you've filled the entire quilt with this humongous spiral, and the texture was just fabulous. So I'm kind of thinking that I might need to explore that for something that's not all too big in the future. But don't give up on the machine quilting. It can be done, and lots of people are doing it successfully. This is from Becky Leroy, who says, love your vintage machines. Who maintains them? The hubster? Are you kidding? Me. I maintain them. I can take their tension gauges all off and put it back together blindfolded. I can oil and I can lube and I can get tension adjusted and things like that. But if it comes to timing or wiring, I have a guy I take it into. But for the most part, these machines were meant to be maintained yourself. In fact, the service manuals told you where to oil, how often, what sizes of needles, how often, where to get parts, how to do most of it yourself. So the only time you would have had to take a machine in to be serviced was if you sewed over something really, really hard and you knocked the timing out of whack, or if something went haywire with your wiring. That was it. So they're very, very easy to maintain, and it's quite the hobby, and I love these sweet old machines. Beth Holt says, scrap crystals. This is Beth. I don't know why the text didn't show up, but that was the scrap crystals from the El Cajon class. I am loving it, and I am too, Beth. I thought I remembered that from just recently when you were doing all of those half square triangles and had them all on your table and you were in our slideshow. Glad to know that is your quilt and it's getting done. Let's see here. Ramona says, cuts. Glad you had a great cruise. Sorry I missed it. My question is, when you subcut, do you use the AccuQuilt even with the seams? Absolutely. I drew lines perpendicular to the blades. So I put the lines on the ruler on the blade so I could be sure I was straight. And I used a silver Sharpie to mark lines across. So I have registration marks to place my strips. And you just can't stack up as many layers high because there are seams, but the seams will be opposing each other. That's why you put them right sides together with the seams going opposite directions, because it helps distribute some of that fullness. And yeah, you just cut them so that they're already in matched pairs and ready to sew. They're already matched. We have ways to streamline the process. This is Fiona, says, binding, sewing on binding with you today, but am just a fraction short. Oh no, just hate it when this happens. But it looks like you've got a scrappy binding going on there. So maybe you can peel back 6 or 8 inches. Can you tell she's got, which way did it go? It's on the bottom. I get the light just right. There you go. You can see she's just that much too short. How many times have we had that happen? Or maybe you've had it where a seam ends up directly in your mitered corner. There's just those kind of things can't be planned. But I think you can add something in there. Maybe add, you know, you've got a lot of this pink coral stuff going on. Maybe just add in a little rectangle of pink as an accent, and you'll always remember, I ran out here. I love the quilting on that. That looks absolutely great. Poor Fiona. All right, one more from Margaret. Then I'm going to sew some more. She says, oh, great. I have spent a good part of the day enjoying vintage Quilt-Cam episodes back to last May. I spend much of the summer outside and so had missed many episodes, only to close them off and get here and find I've missed a live one. Have been working on crumb blocks much of the day. Thanks for your wonderful printer-friendly tutorial and for all you do. And that's Margaret. She didn't say where she's from. Let's see. This is hello from Caroline and Val having a piece of Belgian chocolate. Would you like some? Absolutely. Hi, girls. I hope you're having a great time. I know that they are heading down soon to Shipshewana for the November Dear Jane retreat that they've been going to for years. And I've never been, and I'm stinky green jealous. And yes, please save me some Belgian chocolate. Awesome. I love those girls. You know, and they travel a long way to be able to quilt together. That's just wonderful. Juliet says, where did you get that shirt? It was given to me as a gift from some gals in Alaska. And I'm thinking it was supposed to be for like scrapbooking, but hey, it sure fits. So if the shirt fits, wear it. It's just become my new favorite. Laura Austin in the Houston Quilt Festival. She says, this is Laura from not so warm Florida. I know you were only at the quilt show a short period of time, but it would have been great to run into you. I so wanted to go on the cruise. Can you share any details about the Bonnie only cruise you mentioned? You are the best. And that's Laura. So I did mention on the blog, we were brainstorming on this cruise. It was such a success. And, you know, I've been traveling with so many places for about 4 years now. And I really, really enjoy traveling with this company. They really do a bang up great job. And I was asked if I would take on a cruise by myself. Of course, we'd have the sewing machine people there, and we'd have the bobbin boys, and everybody would help us. But we would take up to 50 quilters. And instead of having the 100 quilters with 4 rooms going, the rooms have dividing walls. So you can open up a dividing wall and have one humongous room that'll fit 50 people with 50 machines. And we would just do one project. So I'll pick a quilt that we want to work on, and you get to work on that the entire cruise. The machine you sit at is yours for the entire cruise. So you can sew all day, you can sew at night, you can go to our excursions on shore and then come back and do free time, sit and sew on it. The tentative dates, I don't have complete concrete A-OK yet, but it looks like it's going to be October 4th to 11th of next year, of 2015. So that's just a little less than a year away. So we're talking 11 months, or a little less than 11 months. And as soon as I have the information, I'll be posting a tab for that trip on the top of my blog, as well as a big blog blast, because we know it's going to sell out quickly. We had a great time with 6 instructors, but a lot of my cruiser says, we wish that we could have just worked on just this project or just that project, and 6 projects in 1 week is just too many. So if you are one of those who wants it to feel more like a retreat, more like you want to just work on one project and be with just me, stay tuned and we will get you that information. It's going to be a blast. And this is with So Many Places, is the name of the company I travel with. Let's see. Ness from Wyoming. So good to see you on Quilt-Cam, working on a fall leaf on the front and mitten on the back table quilt for my mom's 82nd birthday on the 18th. Decided to do mittens on the back so she can just flip it over and leave it out all winter. Speaking of which, it has, guess what showed up? 8 below and dropping tonight. I'm cozy by the fire sewing. Thanks for Quilt-Cam. Sure missed you. You know, I think that's a great idea. Do winter on one side and fall on the other, and you make it kind of generic. I love it when I decorate my house in the fall with just pumpkins and leaf stuff that can stay out from September all the way to Thanksgiving. And then when Thanksgiving is out, you know, I do some Christmas stuff, but I really love decorating with snowmen, because snowmen are kind of generic and they can stay out all the way till March or whatever, May if you live in Wisconsin. Let's see. So I am still sewing. I'm sewing on the 3rd strip, right? Somebody remind me. I think we get really tired of red and green as soon as Christmas is over. So having some stuff that is just fun snowmen around is a great idea. There's kind of a cool, ooh, nope, that's not, too narrow. Some stuff got in here that didn't belong in here. Ooh, this is a good color. We'll do this one. It's a big, bold red and gold plaid. And go here too. I love it when I can make it all the way to the end of a strip and it just fits what I was sewing it onto. Okay, this combo I like too. Along with those plaids and stripes, it's fun to look for interesting prints. This print on the right over here looks like somebody's pajama bottoms. Those are the ones that just look really old-fashioned and old-timey to me, and I just love stuff like that you know you can't get off the bolt. I think we need some red gingham. Red gingham is always happy. That one has more than 2 inches hanging off the end, so it's going to go on to this one. Again, it feels really, really weird not pressing this, but I hope you can understand why I'm not. Not pressing means I have the choice of which side of the strip I want to place this one. So I can choose which fabric's going to be in the middle. I haven't dug into this box forever, so it's really fun to get in here. Get that odd end off. So I don't sort my recycled fabrics by color family. I just haven't found the need to yet. And not very often am I working with recycled fabrics in only one colorway. And it's not that hard to pull all the red ones out if I decide to do something in just red. But I really love the mix. Aha. We're getting down just to the dregs here. And there's the grandpa shirt piece. It'll get to the point where there won't be any of that left anymore. And every time I see it, I think of my grandpa. All right. Checking in again with you. This one is from Donna Guthridge, who says, I am pressing green and gold fabric for the Smith Mountain morning class with you in Lafayette, Indiana next week. Woo! Can't wait to meet you. I can't wait to meet you either, Donna. I'm just hoping we don't have snow. You know, when I first made my arrangements, they thought, well, you could just rent a car. And I thought, well, you know what? Weather can be kind of iffy towards the end of November. And it's right before Thanksgiving. I would feel safer if somebody would just please drive out to Indianapolis and pick me up, please, please. So they found somebody who will. So I'm excited about that. It's my very last teaching job of the year, and we are going to do it with a complete bang, and it's going to be an absolutely good time. Can't wait to see your project. All the way to the top, Mary says, those will be small 9 patches. They're not that small. 4.5 inches is the size that they finish at. So it makes a 5-inch 9 patch, and then it's sewn into the quilt. It's 4.5. It kind of feels giant to me. The 3-inch ones, those are my absolute favorite. I love the 3-inch ones. The ones behind me, those are 9-inch. So I just love how 9 patches are versatile. I just love them. She says, I have started your friend Lori's quilt along while I wait for the grand illusion. It is using some of my scrap user system. I even purged a while today. Hubby is at a union meeting. Glad to have Quilt-Cam to keep me company. Snow is in our forecast. Yuck. You know, snow weather means crock pot weather, and a great excuse to stay in and sew all day weather. Let's see, we've got Sue in Wisconsin who says, I've jumped on the Wild and Goosey bandwagon and I'm working on block number 3 tonight. I am hooked big time and loving using up teeny tiny pieces of scraps I too just have to keep. Isn't it a sickness? You know, all of those corners from binding in our borders, you've cut all those corners off on the diagonal, and I just save them in buckets and boxes and jars, and people give them to me, and it's like, oh, I can't let them go. She says, we had 14 inches of snow Monday to Tuesday this week. It's going to be another long quilting winter. Thanks for the Quilt-Cam company tonight. Looking forward to seeing how your baby quilt turns out. It's going to be cute, I promise. Carolyn Atelier says, first Quilt-Cam in a long time for me. This is my work in progress, making this one just for me. Love the hairdo and the fun. And I'm going to biggie size this here. So, ooh, bright colors. We've got a lot of cafe going on in there. Bright and happy. Now that would really warm up a snowy cold day. Beautiful job. Love the colors you've got going on in there. And this one from Carolyn, who says, cyber hugs from Val and Caroline. She didn't mention any chocolate. Only Val did, which leads me to believe they've eaten it already. Sandy says, my easy street was finally quilted by a wonderful quilter. This was far too big for me to do. I adore the pattern, but had to use my own colors. Thank you for all the fun I am having. Now on to Virginia Bound. Ooh, and her colors are lovely. And I see a fur baby on that bed. Or more like I just see the back end of a fur baby on that bed. But isn't that pretty? That's her easy street from More Adventures with Leaders and Enders. Remember what I said? A quilt pattern is just a recipe, and you can color it any way you want. You can change the size. You can leave off the borders. You can do your own thing for the borders. You can turn it into a dozen pot holders if you want to. It's just a recipe. So I'm really happy when I see people going their own direction. Claudia says, what I'm working on, finally decided to try Hexies. This will end up being a little wall hanging as I have a very limited amount of fabric. Wanted to do something small to see if I like it. So tell me, do you like it? I think she does. I think there will be more fabric buying in her future. Beautiful job. I like being able to see the scale of your Hexies because there's that little spool there to measure by. I hope you like too. That's really beautiful. All right, Terry says, hi from sunny Sydney, Australia. Enjoying my lunch and hanging out with you and the rest of the girls. So that's Terry enjoying her summer. I've got a huge pile of strips on the floor down under here. They're all going off the back of my table. And I've got just a few more little itty bits and pieces. And this is what I mean. Yes, the pieces are small, but I can still get a few 2-inch cuts on the short strip set. And that actually helps me build my variety so it doesn't look like everything is the same coming from the same strip set. I just keep wanting to stir this up and find something else that we have not sewn yet. Now that piece has a hole right there, so I'm going to cut. Sometimes there's a hole if I tried to remove a pocket. Getting those pockets started is not easy. And we'll take this other half and sew it onto something else. Do I have a piece that's just right? This one. And a piece for this one. Nope, that's 1.5 inches. Sometimes stuff just gets in the wrong bin, I think. I'm sure that's just one layer. It feels like 2 layers. Nope, it's only one. It's just a really nice fabric. Just continue to sew these little ones down here. Well, that one doesn't work. I do want each fabric visible next to what I put it next to. So if it disappears, then I won't sew that one. That's what I mean about trusting your own judgment. You don't have to sew that there if it's just not going to go. I wonder how my boys are doing on that cruise. Maybe it's best I don't even think about it. I don't want to know. One more small piece. Oh, wait, there's one more on the floor. 2 more small pieces. did it. That's it. Woo! It went off the bottom. So here we are. This is what we sewed today. Miles. You think I can get 75 subcuts out of this? Might be close. I'll have to do that in the morning and post a total of what we're doing. Like I said, I think I need either 25 9 patches if I decide to make this baby quilt square, but if I go 30, I can go one row longer, and then it'll be a rectangle baby quilt. And when I make baby quilts, they're about 50 inches at least, because I want them to go to the first baby bed. I don't want them to grow out of it. I still want it to fit that baby when they're 5. So we make large baby quilts that can be really used and put on in the bottom of the playpen, and they can be put on the floor to crawl on, or on the grass in the summertime. So we love to make those baby quilts big. We'll take a couple more questions, and then I think I've used up all my time, because I can't do anything else until I get to an iron, and you guys really don't want to watch me iron. All right, Julianne says, welcome home. Yay, Quilt-Cam. I hope you got my email this morning with my wonky wishes, progress, and mess. I love that pattern. It's awesome. Love your pink sewing machine. And that's Julianne in Northern California. You know what, Julianne? I don't remember it coming in. Could it have gone to my spam filter, or if the attachment was really, really large? Sometimes it doesn't pull in. So if your photo was really large, please scale it down and then re-email it to me, because I would love to see that. Sue McIlvaney says, just needs a binding, ready for the next one. So much fun to make, and I've received lots of compliments. Thanks, Bonnie, for the fantastic pattern. Ooh, it's her Celtic solstice. Always a challenge, but I learned so much. Glad you're back. We have missed you. And she went with red and blue and green and gold. And there is her Celtic solstice for the world to see. Isn't that just beautiful? I do like this bigger phone, don't you? Much better than that small iPhone. Yeah. That's a lot of work, and I really love how you finished those circles out to the edge. Beautiful. What else have we got in here? Katie Gardner says, welcome home from your cruise. I'm looking forward to meeting you and seeing your quilts in person for the first time next week in Lafayette, Indiana. Lafayette, Indiana. My last teaching gig of the year. I am so excited. And I don't often get to Indiana, and every time I've been there, I have met the most fun, wonderful quilters. So salt of the earth there. Kevin the quilter. It wouldn't be a Quilt-Cam if I didn't get to say hello to Kevin. He says, welcome back. Glad you had a nice and safe cruise and teaching trips. Just missed you in Mineola and Houston as I was on my way to Quilt Festival with my parents. I am playing with my brand spanking new AccuQuilt studio tonight, and I love it. Thanks for inviting us into your studio like this. You're welcome. I love my studio. In fact, I was only able to make it for 2 hours of festival on a week ago Saturday. I thought for sure I wouldn't get into Houston and get checked into the hotel before Quilt Market or Quilt Festival was done for the day, and I actually got there about 3:45, and they closed at 6. So I was able to get over there and wander for 2 hours. But you know, what do you do? How do you choose what to see? I've still got photos from that to post as well. But as far as the studio goes, I showed my hubby when we went there. I said, yeah, see this thing? This is the thing that I've got. Well, what's this thing over here? Well, that's the small one. He says, well, don't you need one of these? He's trying to spend my money again. No. Because there really is a difference between the Go dies and the studio dies. The studio dies are so sturdy, so long lasting, they will last me a lifetime. And they're heavy. The blades are set into plywood. I mean, it's heavy wood with a really thick, nice foam that the dies come up from. It's just a totally different character than the Go or the Go Baby. But I know folks who have them and love them, and it's allowed people to keep quilting longer. Folks who have arthritis or carpal tunnel or tennis elbow or whatever it is, are able to keep cutting. If you are a shaky cutter as we age, that's one thing I'm really afraid of, because I've watched a lot of my quilters age over the last 30 years that I've been quilting. And you know, some of us are getting a little bit shakier in our older age, and we're not as steady. So cutting is so important, and if a tool like that enables us to cut longer and to cut better so we get the results that we want, then by all means, I believe that a cutting system is just as important as the sewing machine you sew on. The sewing machine can't do a great job unless you're able to cut accurately. So it's just as important. So think about that. This was not intended to turn out into a commercial, and I have no affiliation with AccuQuilt whatsoever, other than the fact that I just love my AccuQuilt studio. I am going to call it a night, everybody. I've gone as far as I can on these. I need to cut them apart and press them. Do my sub cutting. I will include that in a future blog post. We'll let you know how many sub cuts we were able to get out of this, and if I'm going to be able to get my 25 to 39 patches out of the strips we sewed tonight. Next Quilt-Cam, I leave, I think, next Thursday or Wednesday. I'll have to double check, but we might be able to do one more Quilt-Cam before Thanksgiving, and I'll let you know what date that is. I've got my dad coming in the Monday before Thanksgiving, and we'll be spending all Thanksgiving week up at the cabin. So from Monday to Saturday, I won't be home, and Thanksgiving is in there, and our mystery starts in there. So, but let's try to do one more Quilt-Cam before Thanksgiving, and I'll let you know what date that is. And I'm really excited. Here we go into the best time of the year. Talk to you later, everybody. Bye-bye.